I'm Laura Cross of Rebel Seed Films and Entertainment. I'm the writer and producer of the short action war drama Devil Dogs. And in this special podcast, I have a conversation with an actor from the film. Today I'm talking with actor Andres Perez-Molina, who plays Lance Corporal Hernandez in Devil Dogs. Andres is known for his guest roles in the television series Bones, Pretty Little Liars, Castle, CSI Miami, and Law & Order LA. He had a recurring role on The Mentalist and has appeared in the feature films The Dark Knight Rises and Star Trek. Hey Andres, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Hello, what's going on?
Well, I'm really excited to talk about Devil Dogs, of course, because that's the project that we worked on together. But I want to start way back when you were just a munchkin and growing up. You're originally from the D.C. area, and yes. I'd love to hear about your youth and if your family was supportive of your acting.
Yeah, you were right. I was born in Georgetown, and I was raised in Fairfax, Virginia all my life before I moved out here at 21 and a half. Basically, my family's all from South America, all from Peru. I'm from Lima, Peru, and I was raised in, being from D.C., it's a very corporate, conservative, like political kind of environment, so obviously my family was working in that, and that was kind of my route growing up during school to work for the government. And it was not until after high school, after I graduated, where I didn't take any, actually, drama or theater classes during high school. I was mostly into sports, playing soccer and basketball.
Oh, so you were on a sports track when you were in high school.
I was a sportsman all the way. I was hoping for, I'm not going to say NBA or Major League Soccer, but just something in a sense before I blew out my knee at 18, tore my ACL, meniscus, everything. And
that ended that.
Yeah, I was like, all right, what else can I do without my legs? Oh, yeah, I love movies.
Yeah, so when you were growing up, were these sports figures kind of your role models or your heroes or...
Yeah, all the way. I mean, I've always enjoyed movies in general. I mean, I never thought of acting specifically. I've always had a passion for enjoying any good movie. But sports athletes were always my heroes and icons, as in like Michael Jordan, obviously, Scottie Pippen, Cristiano Ronaldo, Pelé, famous Brazilian soccer player who I was fortunate to meet actually when I was young. So I was always into just obviously sports heroes growing up, and then it was senior year. I needed an extra elective class to just take, in a sense. Obviously, I was already finishing my graduation and I was playing sports. So I decided to take film study. At the time, I was a little young and naive, and people were saying, like, oh, film study is an easy class. You show up, turn off the lights, watch a movie for 2 hours, and you get to take a nap, write your summary, and it's easy A. So I'm like, cool, I'm a senior. Why would I not want that? So first day of class, I show up to film study, and we actually just talk about the history of film in general, and something really just grasped my attention. And then we started watching, the classics from the Hitchcocks to James Dean to the Brandos to, Casablanca, Rebel Without a Cause, and Citizen Kane, and all the classics from, back in the day, which I never even had the time to watch growing up. And I don't know what it was, but something about the black and white, old school, in-your-face approach of acting just really grabbed my attention. I was so intrigued by like how everything we take for granted now, they had to like show up front, with the lack of technology and editing and CGI and special effects. There was just everything you saw is what you got, and something about that really just maybe, I don't know, not only intrigued but also like challenged and like, wow, that's real acting. That's how you're supposed to really portray that. That's art. That's an art form. Not that we don't have that today, but I think it was just a little harder back then.
Yeah.
So that really kind of sparked my interest in acting, acting work.
But you weren't doing any plays or anything yet.
Nothing. Nothing. The closest thing was I was a class clown in junior high school. So people always thought I was kind of goofy or funny or somewhat.
That's a performance.
In a way, right? With no audience, but definitely getting in trouble for detention. But that was probably maybe like the only thing closest to it.
And then you blew out your knee at 18, so what were you thinking your path was going to be?
Well, after I graduated high school, I was interning for the government, and then I was working part-time as a cook. I also love to cook as well. I was a gourmet butcher, and then I would start training for basketball tryouts for, any college basketball teams in the area of the East Coast. I won't get into all that, but I was training really hard and getting at it with my basketball conditioning. And then I blew it out, and that kind of just refocused on everything. I just kind of I couldn't walk for a year. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do with sports since I was just completely handicapped. And it was that summer where on the radio I hear about a casting call for New Faces of Talent. It was called NYC Fame, and they had it at the D.C. Convention Center for new faces, new talent all over the East Coast. And at the time I was like, I think I could do something. I'll give it a shot. Who knows? And so literally I purchased this package deal where you can do like acting and modeling in front of these agents, and then they hand me 3 separate monologues that I had to memorize for the first time actually performing. And I remember specifically it was one comedy, which was from Meet the Parents, where Ben Stiller's in the plane and talking about it's not a bomb, it's not a bomb, it's not a bomb, and the stewardess is getting all crazy. So that was my comedy audition. And then I had my love emotional audition from Jerry Maguire, where You Complete Me scene in the end. So I had to do that to a bunch of random strange men that they complete me away. And then the third one was the thriller, Sixth Sense, right when Bruce Willis tells the little boy, Joe Osmond, his story, and then old Osmond goes into I See Dead People. So right before that is my Bruce Willis speech of,
So wow, they really got you on several genres there.
Yeah, to me that was just like, okay, this is material. These are sides. I've heard about these, and let me see what I could do. And I wasn't trying to just duplicate whatever I saw in the film, but obviously bring anything of my own. And so I got those down for a month, and then I didn't have a headshot or a resume or anything like that. So I remember specifically my sister took a Polaroid picture when I had like a 5x7. I wrote in pen behind the picture my number, email, name, and that's it. Like no resume or anything, and sizes, of course. So then I went to the convention center and really just gave it all. I had really nothing to lose at the time, and I had a good feedback in the sense of maybe doing some commercial modeling, but that wasn't my niche. It wasn't really my actual passion or that much interest, even though it was good paying work. But I only got one theatrical acting representation offer in New York, and I decided to go put all my eggs in that basket and give that a shot and go from there.
So you went to New York?
So I would go to New York back and forth. I had a cousin who lived up there, so I would go back and forth for a while through workshops, agency meetings, my first auditions, my first booking job, everything. I'd go up and down probably every couple times a month through the train. And basically this hobby of mine was just something, I would do on my own time outside of school, work, and interning. And then I remember one time specifically where my work was starting to overcome my schooling and my day job as a butcher. So again, my family at the time was like, well, what's going on here? I thought this was just a hobby, not, interfering with your plans. And I'm like, well, I think I got something going here. This hobby might be a possible career, or at least a paying, temporary career right now.
And were you concerned that, hey, maybe I'm supposed to be realistic in this acting thing, and that's just a crazy dream, or did you really feel deep down that this is going to happen for me?
I've always been a realist in the sense of just being raised in the East Coast. You have to be. You have to be a realistic person on obviously following your dreams, follow your heart, but also being practical. What's stable down the road, in a way. So I've always had that. I mean, I get that from my family no matter what, and they mean that out of love, not trying to diminish my dreams or any way. But I've always thought about that, and I would only make sure I would approach this profession or even make a move full time like I have if I had a safe and set up plan, and I wouldn't just jump up and go. I made sure I had a plan before I moved out here, and so I would just. Basically, I would keep it as a hobby in the East Coast for a while and nothing too major. And then, let's see.
Did you so you were doing a lot of theater. Were you doing any commercial work or anything like that there, or was it all stage?
A couple commercial jobs. Like my first one was a CarMax national commercial. I did a lot of industrial work, specs, promos, short films, theater, some modeling jobs here and there.
So you were really getting some steady work there.
I wouldn't say steady. I would say I was building a resume at a part-time area. So I was very fortunate to get a resume from, Virginia, basically, which is, now that I look at it, I'm even more grateful to have that then.
Yeah. But, so what the heck was the inciting incident that brought you out to L.A.?
Well, here's a story. I know you said we have an hour, so here's another story. Feel like Mother Goose over here, story time.
We love stories. We love to hear this stuff.
Hey, you're talking to the right guy. I was 20 years old at the time, in the middle of everything I just told you about, and then I had an opportunity to go backpack Europe with one of my closest friends. And, it was one of those moments where I was like, everything's good, but nothing feels great. I see where I'm going, but I'm not so challenged where I'm in love with it. Okay, I'd love to go backpack Europe. Why not? This is the time where I can. So we went for 4 weeks, 5 countries, and it was the most eye-opening experience of my life. I mean, we went from Amsterdam to Paris to Italy to Belgium to Spain, Morocco, back to Spain, back to Amsterdam, and then Iceland. So it was just, first time.
Did you just say Iceland?
Iceland, of course. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly
amazing.
why I
That's
said
not a normal stop on that trip.
That's exactly why we went there. We were on the way back home to the States, you to connect to London and Iceland. And me and my friend were like, who goes to Iceland? Everyone goes to London. Let's go to Iceland. We're like, hell yeah. So we literally decided to go there to Krakavik, and we flew in right in the middle of a snowstorm, which is ironic because a lot of people assume Iceland is ice and white when it's actually the opposite. In Greenland is ice and white and, whatever. But it was just like such a typical thing to see. And, first thing we get off the plane, we go straight to the Blue Lagoon, the hot springs up in the mountains, which is like a pool-sized jacuzzi with like minerals and vitamins and like just a sauna, steam room, and like a big pool party on the mountains in Iceland. That was the way to end the trip, basically. And everything was such an eye-opening experience, and I was just like, life is so short with so much going on. I really want to give this a full-time chance of acting. And what I didn't mention prior to all this trip and all that was that I did a short film as a lead role, and it got accepted to a Los Angeles Film Festival. So I flew out here before the trip to represent the production company, the director, and obviously myself. And that was kind of like my light bug of the acting world, where I was in the festival doing the Q&As, first time in L.A., behind the screen, up on stage doing the everything, the full works of a festival at an 18, 19-year-old kid. And I'm like, wow, this is legit. And
yeah, they really have a business out here that does this shit, right?
Exactly. And then, at the time I was like, I'm going to keep this in mind, but where am I going to go with it? And I actually happened to meet my manager, who I was at the time, who brought me out here then. So when I was backpacking Europe, the whole time she was like, well, if you really want to take this serious, you got to decide to move to New York or L.A. And I was like, I know, I just don't know if I want to drop everything up, planned here for hopes and dreams. So then, again, where we're at now...
Well, no, what the heck? Hopes and dreams, that's just your life, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's
just
not
ignore
a big
that.
deal. It's overrated. So, I mean, I get back from Europe, and I was like, I really want to plan this right and have a set plan, set representation, set way of having a job if I can, and just through some hustling, networking, and persistence, I made sure the day I moved out to L.A., I had a job as a production assistant for actually 4 weeks straight up. The next day I moved out here. I was already union. I was eligible, and I joined union before I moved out here because actually that CarMax commercial made me forced to join, which was perfect timing. I had a manager on the works basically saying, well, I can't take you serious unless you're out here. So I had a good incentive to get out here. And then I didn't know anyone else. I mean, no friends or family. So it was just all about, okay, I'm union, I have a manager waiting for me, and I have a job for the next 4 weeks. I could do something with that.
Yeah. Was it a bit of a culture shock coming to L.A., or did you just know you fit? Oh, it was.
It was. I mean, I moved out here, I remember August 26th on a Sunday when I was 10 years ago, basically. And that next day I started as a production assistant for Becoming Miss America show that would air on PMC or Disney or something like that. So I had to basically show up on this at the Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica and work with 50 pageants all over the country and just basically be the craft service food guy since I had a food background. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm serving like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to Miss California and Miss Virginia,
or surreal experience.
Sliced apples and green peas to Miss Florida and Montana. I was like, what am I doing? This is unreal. I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this.
Yeah, this is for your memoir, right?
Oh yeah, all the way. All the way. I got some mental pictures. I'll keep myself. So that was just like a huge shock. And so this whole time, like, to get back to your question, I always had that doubt. I always had that, what if, or I'm not sure. And I always knew I had the natural, like, not the natural talent, but like the natural approach to like not be scared. Like if I had to go do something to look embarrassing or show emotion or a range of anything that I'm not comfortable with, I had no problem with that. I was very open where, okay, I can do that. I can embarrass myself or laugh at myself or cry if I need to. Or, to me, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable to approach any kind of character out there. I'm cool with that. So to me, I was, wanting that challenge, but I wasn't sure, obviously making a career out of it. But the day I moved out here, my mom at the time actually helped me get situated because I had work literally the next day. And the end of the week, she had found a place for me, and it was a safe, nice, cool spot in Santa Monica, right close to work. And then I take her to the airport to say goodbye, and I'm the youngest of three, and she's like classic Latin mom, very dramatic and emotional, and kind of like, I can't believe I'm doing this, leaving my youngest in Hollywood to be an actor, and I'm like, she's very old school, like old fashioned South American woman who's like, I don't know about this, but you seem like you have a plan, and I could support that. You're not just jumping out here and not knowing anything. And I was like, of course. And then she was like, well, then there's something you need to know. And I'm like, okay, you're about to drop a bomb right here or something, right? And she was like, well, just so you know, I'm an old-fashioned lady who doesn't really believe in signs and all that, but, as you know, you were born on your father's birthday. And I was very fortunate to have 18 birthdays with my father, July 11th, and he was just my hero, my best friend, my role model. Father was just an amazing, father figure, full of life. So when I was born on his birthday, I wasn't necessarily planned. I guess they call it the love child or maybe the mistake. I don't know which one it goes to, but so I was born on his birthday, and then when I lost him after high school, before the acting and before my knee, I lost him to cancer. And that's the thing that kind of bolted in me to like go do something, go grab life by its hands, go live it up, but do it with a plan, like the way he always said. So that was like the fire in me. Where I was going with it, I wasn't sure. And when she told me, she was like, well, when you were born on his birthday, you didn't know this, but before he married me and obviously started our family, he was an actor. He loved acting. He loved film. He loved everything about it. And growing up, I always remembered he was so passionate about movies, so into it, and, just very committed to it when he was watching the movie. And she was like, that was his dream, and he did it for over 10 years while I was in college and working to what he had now, and it just didn't work out because back then in the 60s the support for Hispanics weren't there, and he didn't have the financial family support, and so obviously he took the more practical route.
What an amazing thing to discover about your father.
I know. No one in the family even knew this. I mean, he was the character of the family as was the class clown in 7th grade, but he was like the godfather. So he was like, he would make you laugh, but also you make sure you show your respect, and he was a very happy but also could be intimidating presence in a way. And so she drops this on me, and I'm just like, what? Literally at the airport. And she was like, so I know now that, for one, you were born on his birthday. Okay. 2, now somehow you subconsciously decided to pursue this career out of nowhere that he did. Well, it's in you because that's in him. And you guys are basically the same person. Yeah. So you better go dominate this for him and for you because you're born to do this. as I'm like about to even respond to it, she storms off into the plane. And I'm like, oh, what? I'm looking up into the sky. I'm like, what? And that to me was like the extra push of motivation and focus to like, this is bigger than me. Let's get it done. Let's go. And
it's what you were designed to do.
It was, and I had no idea, to be honest with you. No idea from day one. Like I said, during high school, not even a thought to what I felt like I was supposed to do, and that gave me the extra confidence saying, I know I have this natural approach. Okay, now I feel like I have a natural talent. Limited or not, minimal or whatever, I have a natural foundation where I know I feel comfortable with this. Now let's sharpen that, by obviously practicing in classes and studying. But that's day one.
Wow, what an amazing introduction to
life. I got stories. I got stories. Oh, man.
So you started to get some acting gigs after your production assistant job?
Yes.
Your 4 weeks?
Yes.
And so what were some of the projects that you were getting? What's something memorable that you landed in?
There was a few. I guess there were more of also good stepping stones to where I got to work afterwards. But I noticed this in the beginning with most acting in LA. Everyone usually starts in like music videos, and then they kind of work to a progressive ladder of soap operas, primetime television, commercial work, anytime, of course, and then independent films, and then obviously feature films to like blockbuster movies and all that. So I did every music video out there. I mean, everyone from Akon, Amy Winehouse, Jennifer Lopez, Lady Gaga, Paula Deanda, Bow Wow. I mean, everyone and anyone. I just did everyone. And
well, you had a music video career going on there.
I was. It was a lot of fun. It was great. It was just something new. I was new to LA, and I was like, okay, let's go with it. Why not? And it was a really great, fun experience. I mean, it was ideal, and to work with Jennifer Lopez on 2 music videos was like a little man's dream come true. I couldn't believe it. Literally, I was like, wow. I mean, it was. I think she just came out with like the first record, 6 on the Block, or J-Lo. Just like when I think she was dating Diddy at the time, so I was like right then. So that was just like the most memorable moments, and then a music video went to soap operas, did a lot of Days of Our Lives and Young and the Restless work.
Yeah, and how was that? Did that prepare you for?
That really did. Yeah, that really did. I mean, I love soap opera work. It's just like such an in-your-face, like a school schedule, like every day. And, I only played under 5 cops. Officer Rodriguez was my character. And so it was great practice with the stage sets and the camera work and the lingo and, and the terminology, which I was like learning on the fly and everything, knowing your mark. And, I didn't know any of this. Because Virginia was just like, okay, work is work. Here was like the real deal. And so I was an under 5 cop, Officer Rodriguez, but I was always the cop who would always just show up and arrest somebody or like bring a file and hand it to the lieutenant but never talk. Mm-hmm. So this one day specifically they had the under 5 who had the speaking roles, and then there was me. And his name was Andrew, and my name is obviously Andres. So on the intercom, while we're all in the green room chilling, the stage manager goes, Andres to stage 2, please. Andres to stage 2. And I show up. I'm there in uniform, and then we rehearse the scene. And then he was like, oh, do you know your lines? And I'm like, no, I haven't gotten them yet. And I was literally genuinely just shocked. And he was like, oh, okay, here they are. And I get them down, and I rehearse it a couple times. And I'm like, great, perfect. We got the blocking down. We'll shoot it soon. So we go ahead and shoot it. As we're shooting it, Andrew actually walks in the middle of like our take, and the stage manager looks at him and recognizes him, and obviously looks at me and is like, okay, you're both Hispanics. Okay, what's going on here? So then Andrew was like,
Andrew's line.
So Andrew was wearing like the white T-shirt with the cop uniform shirt in his hand, and I was already all dressed up. And I was just like, I didn't think I was stealing them. I didn't.
No, I'm.
But so like the stage manager. I know, right? So stage manager was like, hold on, who are you? He goes, I'm Andrew. I'm under 5 with the lines. And then he looks at me and he was like, and who are you? I was like, I'm Andres. I'm an under 5 who usually escorts the criminal or whoever. And he goes, huh. I was like, well, just so you know, sir, like I never respond to Andrew. I don't even know. I don't respond to it. I heard Andres. And then the other guy was like, yeah, I didn't hear Andrew. I heard Andres too. And he goes, "Oh, that's all my fault. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And then I go, "Andrew, I did not mean to." And he goes, "You know what? Actually, go ahead and have him. I'm trying to make this other audition. Go ahead, man. I've had a few of those. Good luck with it. Take it." And I'm like, look at the stage manager. He's like, "That cool?" He goes, "I'm cool." I'm like, "Okay."
That was a gift. That was a
yeah.
gift.
It was like my first speaking role on a TV show, and it was like, similar, simple lines as a cop would say, and that kind of carried me on for a few months as an under 5 on that show, and it was pretty cool, and how things happen.
Yeah, amazing. And so you did actually quite a bit of TV, right? You've been in Bones and Pretty Little Liars and Law and Order LA, and I think I saw something because we didn't audition you. I actually just watched a reel of yours, and I think I watched something from CSI Miami that made me go, "Okay, that's our guy."
That was my very first TV night primetime speaking role, my first guest star. It was it was CSI Miami, permanent vacation. This was probably a few months into moving to LA. I moved to August. I shot that like November. And I remember it was Dean Cain, Superman, and I was like, I can't believe I'm like getting intimidated and threatened by Superman on this show. Supposedly I murdered his son, but my character was framed as that, the number one suspect, but really I was innocent. So that was just like, I can't believe I'm working with Superman right now, holding a scene one-on-one with him. And obviously Horatio was a character, and he was awesome to work with.
I can't believe hearing that was one of your early pieces, because that's what sold me on you. So you did a great job back then. And then you had a recurring role on The Mentalist, I think, right?
Yeah, I played Agent Martinez on that. That was another great experience. I did it prior to that. I'd done a few small like cop roles, like basic cop roles, obviously on soap operas and short films. But that one was the first time I actually played an agent, and I get to play undercover. So my first episode. Actually, for another quick funny story, the audition. This is my advice for all actors out there. You gotta take risks, but with preparation and focus and commitment to it. You can't just rely on natural raw talent. You gotta take risks and prepare it right. And I remember specifically we had 2 scenes for that role, where one scene I'm undercover as a homeless undercover cop with like the whole setup, get up. And the other scene, I'm obviously wearing a suit talking to my fellow agents. So I'm like, you know what? I feel like everyone there is going to dress up as a cop, like uniform and all detective agent out. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna dirty up, not shower, just rip some clothes up, and just be as homeless as possible. Obviously, sanitary in a good way everywhere, but just homeless. That's it. So I show up to the casting office, and what happens? Everyone's an agent in suits and ties, and I'm the only one there who looks like complete dirt. So as soon as I walk into the room, they were just like, "Wow, okay." And I did my scene, and literally by the time I got to my car, I got the job booked.
Amazing. Yeah, when you prep, when you become that character.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great actors out there, but if you're a casting director or you're someone like a producer or writer like me who's looking for the right actor, there's just something. You just see it in them. And if you take on that part when you're auditioning, then they can see it a lot easier.
Exactly. Everyone doesn't want to admit it, but on the production side of it, casting and as well as the acting, you want to know, you think you know exactly what you want, but you also want someone to show you something more. And we need you to show us as much as you need us to show us what we want and bring it together. So it's like, you don't want to always play it safe. You want to show your personal touch to it, and obviously they're bringing in you there for a reason, for your look or your credibility, but like you said, you have to show something, show that extra spark or that energy or that that extra hour of practice or whatever it is. That's what counts.
And you definitely brought that to the Hernandez character in Devil Dogs. You brought a lot more than what was written on the page and what I had ever envisioned for the character. So let's just jump into Devil Dogs, and we'll come back to the rest of your project since we're moving into that direction anyway. Sure. What was it obviously, you didn't audition for the role. I saw a reel of yours and said that we need to get this guy. He's our Hernandez. and you stepped up and said yes. I think you must have read the script before. You said yes.
Sure.
What was it that attracted you to the project?
It was, for one, the story. The story right off the bat. It was just like, and I'm not going to lie, I just finished watching Lone Survivor probably a week or two right prior to I got the script. And that movie stuck with me where I was like, I've never seen a group of actors like get so beat up or like invested into their character where the brutality that they went through in that movie was like, you have to almost look away at certain times. And the brotherhood that they brought and just like the pride of the U.S. and it really kind of just stuck with me. And when I got the script, I was like, this is a short film version of that. Mm-hmm. And not only that, my character, Lance Corporal Hernandez, I felt like him and Hicks were the core of that. It was like playing Mark Wahlberg and Taylor Kirsch of Lone Survivor, the core, the two guys who have been there and done it. And whereas, in the dialogue, I see where Hicks is more of like the laid-back, funny, charismatic, joking kind of guy, but also the leader. And my character was more like, say less, do more, mean more kind of character. He was more of I want to say the voice of reason, but just more of like just, the old soul of the group. And there's something about me, I was like, okay, I really like this. I don't have as many lines, but my lines are impactful. My lines are a little more, deep in the sense that we're talking about more than just war or talking about more than just a mission.
Yeah, Hernandez is such an important character, and certainly as a parallel to Hicks, right?
Yes.
And
Hicks is so in the moment where Hernandez is always still comparing the reason why we're even there to how much I love what I do. And he's like battling a bigger war than just the war of itself. He's thinking like, there's something bigger than this. I don't know if I fully agree with it, but I am committed to my country and obviously my service. And then Hicks, I just like, how can you not love Hicks? He's just full of life, but he's also like in the moment. And I'm like, all right, I'm seeing a little bigger than this, and hopefully it all works out.
And was there anything that you did to prepare for the part? Obviously, you had watched Lone Survivor already. There's a lot of war films out there.
I saw a few war films. Another one was by my choice in the sense I felt like with his character. I did this with another movie, but not the exact same way. It felt like his character was so committed to a service that it just felt like that was his family. And it kind of just illustrated to me naturally that this guy didn't have a family. This guy had one, lost him. And maybe through some rehearsal and character development through Hicks, we discovered that I have a sister that he's been dating. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's perfect. I'm an overprotective brother, the only family member of her. No wonder I am the way I am. Love it. But as in that brainstorming character, development of Hernandez, I kind of went out of my way and told my family, I was like, well, prior to shooting, I'm only going to email you guys to keep in contact while I'm shooting. I'm not going to call or hear your voices or anything because I want to separate that. That's distant that. Because every time I hear you guys from back home in Virginia, especially like my nieces and nephew and everyone else, like automatic cheer up. And I was like, I don't want to feel that. I mean, I'll make sure I'm okay. I miss you guys, love you guys through email, but I'm going to keep this week to this movie and this emotional scene of I have no family, in a way. And that kind of brought a certain loneliness, not hearing from them for a little bit, but also made me appreciate it more in the moment of my brothers, my fellow actors. And I was like, I'm the father of them. Take charge.
Well, I had no idea that you prepped that way, and that's really impressive because that showed, especially there were a couple scenes, we don't want to give away the narrative, but where the other guys really are your family, and in particular Hicks, you guys are so close. And even just as the cast of actors who were playing the Marines, you really seem to bond and become like your own little band of brothers on set.
We did. I mean, first day of table reading, it was just like we all just clicked. We all fit. I mean, that was the perfect casting because everyone became their role immediately. I mean, everyone. And it was nothing was forced. Everyone brought something to the table. Everyone knew where they stood. And then it felt like there was a natural trust between all of us, knowing that you're going to bring in this part because I got that other part. And that's where we all molded to like becoming who we were. And it made it easier to be Hernandez with all those great actors.
And during rehearsal, and even on set, we tried to get this all hammered out during rehearsal, but it did happen on set too. You guys were able to, it was a very collaborative process, and you were able to bring things to your character and dialogue that was added. And, I really view the script as a blueprint, and it doesn't come into life until the actors get involved. So what do you think that you brought to the role of Hernandez that wasn't necessarily on the page? Because I think you did, for sure.
I do have brought something.
I mean, you brought a beautiful humanity, I think, to him, and you really clarified too. I mean, there were some things that I wrote in the script, and you said, you know what? I don't think Hernandez would say that because he's more jaded and he has more experience, and this is his second tour in Iraq, and those were very important things that you brought. I don't know if you remember that in rehearsal.
No, I do. Oh, I remember all of it. I truly do. It was. I feel like I brought more experience and confidence in who Hernandez was, but it was also because I feel like Hernandez had more questions. So whereas, Hicks would be the one with the statements and the orders and the plan and just kind of like, okay, no gray, black or white. Hernandez had like a mindset of, there are some gray areas in this situation right now. There is something going on wrong bigger than what we're doing right now. But let's take care of the mission first. So I always kind of wanted to bring like almost like a big brother father approach where I was like, let Hicks lead, but I'm going to also be the backbone and make sure we're good. And not only that, it was showing that through actions. Until we had those intimate scenes through dialogue, where I was like, through your writing and what I felt with the character, I was like, he literally questioned everything he was doing, and didn't even mean to come off degrading it or disrespecting it, but he almost questioned everything he was doing, but still loved what he was doing. And then that, to me, I was like, I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming most people might go through that kind of doubt. I mean, it's probably even more rare if you're good at what you're doing to create doubt, but more like, okay, well, what is the real meaning of why I'm doing this? What am I really getting out of this? And is this something that, there's one specific line where I'm like, do you think that we're getting rid of them, as in, referring to terrorists, or do you think we're eradicating them? And then, do you think we're eradicating them, or are we creating more? That was one specific line, and I was like, that's Hernandez right there. That says everything about Hernandez throughout the whole script. As much as I might enjoy taking out every, threat as a soldier, I'm also looking at it was like, do you think we're actually eradicating them, or do you think we're creating more? And that, to me, that was like the core of what he's about. And
I think it is authentic. There are Marines out there and military men who are like Hernandez. So I thought you delivered that so well. Do you think that there's any similarities between you and Hernandez? Yeah,
of course. I think, one, I'm a very protective person over my family and close friends. I'm a natural. That's just how I am. And two, another thing that I think I hope my friends do appreciate, because I know my family do. Like Hernandez, I tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that's huge. I think people who tell you what you want to hear all the time are always just basically taking an easy route out, or maybe don't care enough, or not taking the time, or just maybe, a dime a dozen kind of friendship. But someone who actually takes the time to tell you what you need to hear. Obviously, there's always an appropriate, respectful way of saying it, but those are the people you want to stick with. Those are the people who actually tell you the truth and really show you as a person, and care about you evolving as a person. And that's something that he has as well as I do.
Yeah.
Until this day.
Yeah, I'm glad that you recognize that in him. I think that sometimes the best service and support of others is actually not telling them what they want to hear.
I mean, who doesn't want a bunch of yes men around them? But then, where are you going with that?
Yeah, you're never going to grow and develop and move to the next level that way.
Exactly.
So we felt so blessed to have you as Hernandez, and you did a great turn in it. You've actually been in some really big films, even if you had a smaller role in them. You were in The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises. You were in Star Trek, right? Yes.
Those were those moments where it's like you at the time you either think I have a small role or do I have a small mindset. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's like as an actor, it's like, no, I don't want to have a small mindset. This is a small role to bigger roles, a small window to a bigger door. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna feel like, this is one line, two lines. No, the experience I had on Star Trek, which was the first one with J.J. Abrams directing, I was a Romulan, and I was just a featured extra. But it was like 2 weeks of working with J.J. Abrams and Eric Bania and all these amazing, production people at Paramount with the set. It was just like the experience of that, where I know it's extra work, but it was a Romulan. I mean, who plays a Romulan for 2 weeks? I've never even thought of that.
Yeah, when would you ever have the opportunity? That's just amazing.
Exactly, and I was like, I don't know. Some people might say like, I don't do extra work. It's what? No, I was working on TV and stuff. I was like, no, I'll play a Romulan for 2 weeks. I'm curious myself. And that kind of opened up doors to other opportunities where, J.J. Abrams brought me in to audition for Alcatraz when it first came out for a couple of roles, and brought me in for Star Trek 2 for a speaking role as an actual Trekkie, like an actual pilot, not a Romulan. So I was like, great, you can't just think small in the sense of, this is not good enough, or I'm bigger than that. Get out of here. You're nobody until you're somebody, and to be somebody, you got to do everything. And
just to be in the presence of people who have reached that echelon of success and what they do, to be able to witness how they work.
Yes, and that those environments, regardless if you're the main guy or the last guy, those are always going to motivate you. Being around those people are always going to put you in place and saying, wow, this is where I really need to go. This is where I need to take the next level or commit even further or take it up a notch in a way. Because no matter what, being in a self-employed, freelancing kind of industry like the acting world, you always can be easily complacent with the first big job you book or the only job you book, and you just kind of feel, okay, I'm good. No, you're not. Really. I mean, no, you're not. You just got to constantly, if you're the biggest top dog in sixth grade, well, now you're the small dog in junior high. And then now you're the freshman in high school getting picked on. There's always a higher level, and you always have to fight for that. And people always want to make sure they keep that fight and that fire in them and never get complacent to what level of success they do have. Appreciate it and don't, and take it, be grateful for it, but keep on finding that edge in a way. And Star Trek was an amazing experience. And then, years later, Dark Knight Rises was even better. I mean, it was 2 lines, but 2 days of work, blocking scenes with Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale was like a dream come true, literally, as a Batman kid fan, being Batman for Halloween, to being a Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's amazing. And then Christian Bale is just a whole different level of his acting. Was unreal. And I was like, I don't even care if my line is, these pretzels are making me thirsty. I'm in the movie. I don't care if my face gets on the screen. I'm in the movie. And luckily they used the scene in the movie where I play the valet guy and I give away his Lamborghini to Catwoman. I didn't even care about the recognition. It was the experience. Mm-hmm. And that catapulted me to like a higher level of training, commitment, and working. You never know.
Well, all right, we'll look for you in your feature films and your commercials and on TV still, if you're still doing TV. And
yes, I actually have a Lifetime movie coming out soon called Rescuing Madison, and I play a fireman, Billy Sullivan, and that's a kind of a romantic comedy.
Oh, all right. That'll be interesting to watch, yeah.
Be rolling that, so yeah.
Okay, we'll keep our eyes out for that. Andres, thank you so much for being with us today, for all your insight and sharing your stories and your experiences. Is there anything else that you want to leave the listeners with?
Well, first of all, thank you, Laura, for having me on. Everything has been great. The experience on Double Dogs was amazing. I mean, you guys were just, it was an amazing experience. The set that we were on was ridiculous.
Yeah, God bless Clint Eastwood and Warner Brothers for that.
Right? That was unreal. I mean, I felt like I was there, and last message, to all the frustrated actors out there, if they feel like you aren't getting what you want, just remember, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So just, look outside the box and really challenge yourself. Ask yourself the right questions and get what you want, follow your dreams.
That's great advice, great quote, great inspiration. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.